I was only 13, you gave up without a fight. I've had to find love in older men. Fell in love with Eminem. He was more of a father than you. Eminem shared his fatherly advice. You couldn't do that. Blaming me for everything I've missed. How is that my fault? You never tried. Tried to play father when I was 18. That's not good enough. You're holding my baby photos, all those family videos, thinking of better times. Did you even care? Or was I just a prize? You and Mama pulling me in different directions. Sick of hearing the hate, hated the courts, dragged into a battle that I didn't start. I was only 13, you gave up without a fight. I've had to find love in older men. Fell in love with Eminem. He was more of a father than you. Eminem shared his fatherly advice. You couldn't do that. I needed a father, you needed to save me, but you never tried. Never pushed when I walked away crying, too busy asking, did she fill you with lies again? Is that all you cared about? You didn't know. Never tried to save me. Never cared that I was scared of the dark, too busy scaring me in cemeteries. That still haunts me. You tried to enter my life again. All those years it never worked. Too busy yelling at me. I've got your DNA in me. Cut me some slack. I've had to find love in older men. Fell in love with Eminem. He was more of a father than you. Eminem shared his fatherly advice. You could never do that. Too busy telling me what kept guys interested. A grown man tells a 12-year-old to shave her pubes. Thought you were giving good advice. Gotta give you credit. You tried. Standing on the sidelines when Mama told you no. Breaking orders just to see me. But you gave up too easily. What father does that? Telling me my head was filled with lies. No! I started seeing clearly when you walked away. Did you even try to find me? I was hiding in plain sight. Never left the house I grew in. I've had to find love in older men. Fell in love with Eminem. He was more of a father than you. Eminem shared his fatherly advice. You could never do that. A man who's known as a homophobic wife-beating ex-addict cared more about his daughter. What's your excuse? I'm 25 now. You've missed out. Didn't see me finish grade 10. Wasn't there for my graduation. Not even my formal. What's your excuse? I've changed schools. Wasn't that hard to drive to my mama's house? Kept the same number. Wasn't that hard to call my number? What's your excuse? You had family that lived around the corner from me. Took you how long before you had the balls to call your ex? You think she's protecting me? She stopped when you walked away. Heard you came to my home on a Monday while I was at class. Mama said you told her you were down all weekend, but you didn't try to see me until you were on your way home. You had all weekend. You chose the one day where it's guaranteed not to see me. Maybe that was your plan. I've had to find love in older men. Fell in love with Eminem. He was more of a father than you. Eminem shared his fatherly advice. You couldn't do that. Maybe I gotta give you credit. You spent 13 years fighting for me, needing to keep me close. Mama thought you'd take me away. Just 'cause the two of you hated each other doesn't mean you do that. It's been 12 years. The only father I've known is a man who doesn't know I exist. You probably want me to apologize. For what? For not caring about BS that I never asked to be part of. You could have tried harder. Don't tell me it's a two-way street. This is your fault too. You couldn't do that. Eminem shared fatherly advice. He was more of a father than you. fell in love with Eminem. I've had to find love in older men. You gave up fighting. I was only 13. Oh my god, that one really hurt my voice. Okay, so fatherly advice. Oh, okay. Again, this was inspired by Eminem, which is pretty clear because I mentioned his name how many freaking times? And if Eminem ever catches wind of this, I am really sorry. I did this to kind of prove a point to myself. I'm sorry. I mean, I do love you, Eminem. It's just not on that creepy level that you're used to. More like, I think of you as a father figure, which is probably a bad thing, depending how you look at it. Don't worry, I'm not asking for child support. I'm sorry. Okay, so, like I said, this is inspired by Eminem. He has a song on his album, Music to be Murdered By, called Leaving Heaven. And that one features Skylar Grey. And I remember listening to that for the first time in its entirety and getting really mad. Getting mad and getting frustrated, getting all these different emotions. And I was like, I didn't want this to come up. This is not meant to be a therapy session. Like, I paid $100 and something for a therapy session. This is free, and I'm feeling memories and emotions that I haven't felt for years, that I've kept locked away. And I had to put that song on repeat a few times to try and just to express how I feel and get over the emotions that I've kept locked away. And it was really relieving in a weird way. And it's like, I feel better now that I've done this. Probably shouldn't have directed AIM directly, but I feel better. You know, my parents, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but my parents are divorced. They've been divorced since I was too young to even understand what the word divorce meant. And so I spent the first 13 years of my life, well, most of the first 13 years of my life, battling between parents, being in and out of the court system because they were they were fighting each other, having lawyers talk to me going, so what's it like at this person's house? What's it like with that person? Are they nice? Are they mean? Are they this? And it's too much for a little kid to deal with. And I was 13 years old when I told my dad that I wanted nothing to do with him. And we ended up having like what felt like an eternity conversation dealing with that matter. And he kind of turned it around saying, well, you're 13 and you've had, your head's been full of lies, and you know, I've always been there for you. And it's like, okay. So yeah, that was I spent that weekend with him, and that was the last time I saw him. And I don't think from the age of 13 to the age of 18, he's never contacted me. And it wasn't until I turned 18, which is legally when, you know, the court's paperwork ends, and he attempted several times to get in contact with me, which didn't end well in his favor purely because of the way he left the voice messages. And and then in this I mentioned that my dad came down for a weekend and talked to my mom, and he said to my mom that he spent all weekend down in the area, but he didn't come down to say hi to me. And I was like, why? Why wait till a Monday when there is a guaranteed 100% chance that I'm not home? I'm either at work or I'm at classes. You know, the fact that he chose a Monday instead of a Friday afternoon, instead of a Saturday or a Sunday, nothing. And it really bugged me. It frustrated me. And so I'm just listening to Leaving Heaven, and I'm going, I can see Eminem's point of view. You know, I get Eminem's like a 40-something-year-old man with daddy issues. I mean, who doesn't have daddy issues? I have daddy issues too. But it's really interesting because it's like, the difference is Eminem didn't really know his father up until however long ago. Whereas I knew my dad, but then I stopped. And it's like, I can see Eminem's point of view because his dad wasn't a father figure. He chose to be a father figure for all the wrong reasons. And it kind of, in some aspects, and very tiny aspects, I can see the similarities between my father and Eminem's dad. And I'm like, both father figures came back into our lives at the wrong moment, problems. Yeah. So yeah, it's really a hard thing to deal with when you're a child dealing with a parent that kind of gave up really quickly and then tries to come back in your life and then just kind of fumbles over it instead of actually trying, and you don't really know what to do with it besides just continuing to ignore that parent. Yeah. That was a long way to get to the point. But yeah, so Eminem, if you ever catch wind of this, which you probably won't because you always mention in your songs that it takes forever to get to you, but I apologize, and again, I see you more as a father figure rather than as a lover, which is probably a good thing because I think I'm about the same age as your daughter, maybe a year older than her. So I see you as a father figure, so I don't actually want anything to do with you. Not like that, I'm sorry. On that note, before I throw myself in the hole and bury myself, I'm gonna go. Bye!